One thing that I think we can take a moment to, hopefully you guys all have notebooks with you, is I want you to take a moment to write down one thing you're grateful for, one thing you're frustrated about, totally acceptable. This, I'm going to steal this from Ryan. I loved his talk. This is not our fault. This is not your fault. This is not my fault. Nobody planned this in our group. So this is a moment, and I'm going to try to view it as a gift from the universe to take pause and reconsider. One of my favorite quotes was from Dave Hollis, and he said, before we have the haste to rush back to normal, why don't we globally take a pause to determine what is worth rushing back to? So what is one thing you're grateful for? What is one thing that you're frustrated or angry or stressed about? Because we all have those things too. Our practices were shut down. And then one thing you want to take away from this experience. Cool. I'll give you guys like another minute to write that down. So bringing perinatal care home to your clients is really what we're here to do today. And I want you to take a moment. What are we about to give birth to out of this experience? Because we're going to be able to reopen our practices. And in the grand scheme of things, this is really actually a very short pause. Feels very, very long right now. But this is a short pause in the grand scheme of things. And we've had a prep time. So what are we about to give birth to? What's something you're grateful for? What's something you're frustrated about? And what's something you want to take out of this? When it comes to connecting with your clients, people are on Facebook, Instagram, Google more than they have probably ever been. You guys have probably seen all the screen time reports. So I almost put some of them in here, but we don't all need it shoved in our face. There's these things going around that are like, your screen time's up 186%, your screen time's up 260%. People are spending literally more than half of their waking hours on their phone right now. There is no reason why they should always be consuming the mainstream media, negative news, stress, pandemic, fear, when they could be spending 30 minutes to an hour consuming information that will actually boost their immune system, that will help them function, feel, and heal better, and will help them be connected to you so that when this lifts, they can come back and actually make their health a priority. Because at least here in America, one thing we've been sharing with our clients is there's so little that we know about this virus that the best thing we can do right now is truly have the best offense is a strong defense, is to be a bad host for a virus, is to boost our immune system naturally. And that would be my one thing that I'm frustrated about, is that nobody on mainstream media, of course, has done anything to say, hey, here's how you can boost your immune system naturally, and here's something you could do at home that would empower you to have a good defense against this. It's don't wear a mask, wear a mask, masks help. No, they don't. They protect other people, they protect you. No, they don't. We're not sure. How about vitamin D? How about zinc and vitamin C, elderberry syrup? At least here in America, there's a lot of issues on saying that chiropractic boosts the immune system. There are some cool studies that show it boosts interleukin-2 and white blood cell activity, but we're not really supposed to be extrapolating that out to full immune system function. But there are a lot of clinical studies on nutrition and supplements that you can share about the chiropractic lifestyle. And so you can get on Hangouts, on Zoom, on Google, on Facebook, and there are a lot of things that we can talk to our moms as well as our patients about. I'm going to go back over here. Perfect. I was going to try to do a whiteboard. Might have to do it in... Will you get my slides? They're pretty basic, but if you want them, sure. Yeah, if that makes you happy. It's just an overview of what I'm talking about, but if you want like a follow-up, I can absolutely do that. Golden seal, yeah, great. Beautiful, awesome, great shares, guys. So we're gonna go through 5 things that you could do a Google Live on that would be mom specific, but I want you to extrapolate this. Not everybody on here sees just moms and babies. Maybe you see a vast array, or you see athletes. You could do something like prevention of injuries at home. For moms, one thing that would be an awesome thing to keep doing with those group classes, be a breastfeeding support group on Google or Zoom. This is something that we've started doing, and it's kind of turned into I don't know if I can say this on a recording, excuse my language, like a stitch and bitch. But like, it's just, oh my God, are you home with your kids? What are they doing that's funny? What are you doing that's making me want to pull my hair out? It's been such a cool thing for our community. And a lot of times I sit in my office and do it. It keeps patients connected to us, to our office. If you haven't thought of this, a breastfeeding support group, especially with what I've been reading in the news, both in the UK and in America, people are potentially getting ticketed because they're stopping out on a walk to breastfeed their baby. And I so firmly believe that that is wrong. And you can't control when your baby needs to nurse. So for an officer to say, hey, we're going to give you a fine, not cool. So moms need support more than ever now. And check in on your moms that you know, like your mom friends and your mom clients that are home with the kids. Is their husband working? Is their husband deployed? Is their husband wherever? Or maybe he just works from home and so they're still with the kids 24/7 when they used to get a little bit of a break. Check in on those people. So breastfeeding support group is a great one to do. A movement and mindfulness practice is one that's been really successful for us. We use something called a Gorgeous Ball, which is made by Tune Up Fitness, which I can post a link later. And we get a little bit of soft tissue movement. This is wonderful for anybody who's had a baby that's postpartum and been cleared past their 6-week postpartum date to get some movement, help with their organs. Gosh, there's nothing quite like birthing a baby that'll move your organs around. And if they don't have access to a visceral manipulation or an abdominal massage practitioner or a chiropractor right now, which they don't, the Yoga Tune-Up Ball and Gorgeous Ball, Joe Miller's not sold out of them. They could purchase it online. You could bulk order them and send them out to people. That would be up to you. But some mindfulness and movement would be a wonderful topic. You could do a rehab. So this depends on if you saw either of my last 2 lines. I taught rehab at both of them. You could do some of that rehab for free. In a minute, we're going to talk about what else you could do. You could do one-on-one consults. This is something that I think you should do free. Maybe pick one of the functional progressions, go through it, and explain to them why it's so good for them, or other rehab that you do in your office. Do a little refresher. We do Movement Mondays. You can do Mindset Monday, Wellness Wednesday. You can pick something catchy, make a phrase, and do it every week. We did a cool one that actually was well received, more than I expected. How to grocery shop and meal prep for 2 weeks. So that was a fun one for us, where we talked about how to make a grocery list, how to meal plan if you are, maybe have a high risk member of your family in your home. So you're really trying to minimize your outings. If that's something that your clients are dealing with, or they're afraid, we have people that are very afraid to leave their home. So if they can go to the grocery store only twice in a month, and we have them, stocking up on frozen, free-range, grass-fed meats, organic vegetables, where they can get them. Those are restocked in our grocery stores if they're not there. The ball is called a Gorgeous Ball. I will type it in from Yoga Tune-Up. Tune Up Fitness from Joe Miller. Ooh, that is my puppy dog. Excuse me if you can hear that. There you go. Perfect. Beautiful. So if there are people that are in your client base that are very afraid of leaving their home, they can eat all of their fresh things first. We did meals on fresh for the first, about 5 to 7 days. Then we do meals in the crock pot from frozen veggies that are still healthy. And then the last few days they can do things like, you could do like a canned and shelf stable products that are hopefully still organic and not too bad, and you can pair something with them, or you could do shakes that day to make sure that they're getting their immune system boosted. And then the last one we did is supplements they should be doing at home. Rachel Hollis on the Start Today brand has something that she calls the 5 to Thrive, and we love that. It's all about getting your body moving, having a mindset practice, drinking good water, eating good. So you could make your own 5 to Thrive, especially if people don't follow the Hollis brand. So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to go back to the slides. There you go. Beautiful. So that would be something that I suggest you guys do for free. It's going to keep connection going. The next thing you could do is a one-on-one E-Telehealth consult. This is something that our malpractice in America does now cover in most states. They've expanded our reach, and I know that I believe Nick was doing some of them. So check with your local area, check with your malpractice, check with your board and regulatory agencies before you do this, please, because I have not looked into all of them. I can barely keep up with the changing regulations in my home state where I'm supposed to practice right now. So please check for yourself. But one-on-one e-telehealth consults can be a wonderful way to keep some revenue coming into your practice. We have been doing these by identifying a main complaint that they're dealing with at home, breaking down a couple action steps, and then giving them what we can at home. It could be as simple as reviewing with them how to do their home care exercises that maybe you already gave them, assigning new home care exercises, doing some mobility or at-home soft tissue work. Again, this is where I love the yoga tune-up or the tune-up fitness brand. They have gorgeous balls and yoga tune-up balls in different sizes that can be great. Some people love a foam roller. I know if you saw Dr. Sean Drake's seminar last year, he had done some fascial plane stretching, which is amazing. And these are things that you can, to my knowledge, legally a bill for if you wanted to do cash. And if you have any questions, we can talk about how we do that. I have them done through a register square up store right on my website, and they pay for it ahead of time, and then we book a consult time for them, so there's no craziness or waste of time in your schedule where someone's like, oh, I forgot. They already paid for it, and you can determine your own cancellation schedule, one reschedule with 24-hour notice or 12-hour notice, or hey, they missed it and they're done. That would be up to you. We always give them like kind of a one freebie because life is crazy. If they cancel on me more than twice, they lose 50% of that, and if they've missed it 3 times, we just keep their money because it didn't seem to be a priority to them. You do not have to do that. But that would be a wonderful thing that you can go through, still get to use your skills as a doctor and help your clients. Unfortunately, you can't deliver the most powerful tool that we have, which is the chiropractic adjustment, but you can help them maintain and prevent a flare-up or a backslide with these consults. PhysiTrack and PhysiApp is something that I would love to see if any of you guys have heard of. So I'm going to pop back over to the chat. I am not sharing my screen. That was unfortunate. Go back to that. So one-on-one e-telehealth consults, PhysiTrack and PhysiApp, this is how it's spelled. It's something that we use in our office that we really like. PhysiTrack is the provider side, and PhysiApp is the patient side. So that is allowing us to actually share with patients a custom rehab program for them that is right on their phone. Like I said earlier, people are spending more time on their phone than ever before. So this is a wonderful chance to do that. So leave me a couple comments quick. I'll give you guys a second. If anybody's heard of this or had an experience with it, it's actually a UK-based system. We love it. If you guys have questions about this, if this is something that would interest you to be able to have that, I believe it's like £12 a month for one provider and unlimited patients. So there is a cost to it. It's not free, but it's not super expensive. Leave me a couple comments. Have you heard of it? Have you heard good things? Have you used it? Would you be interested in something like this that's a mobile platform where you don't have to pay to design your own app? Cool. All right. I'm glad some of you guys have used it. If you want more information, one thing that I was thinking is maybe I could make a little poll. If you guys are interested, they might be willing to do a group discount for the Lions. They've obviously done group discounts for people in the past. I don't know what that is, but I thought I would wait to see if anybody's interested before we do it. I think it's well worth the £12 a month. Our patients really love it, and they love having something that's on their phone. That's the way they already consume data. That's how they do everything else in their life. So yes, okay, perfect. That's how they do everything else in their life, so why would we not meet them where they're at? This is a big thing that we want to make this easy for them to transition out of living in their living room and back into coming out to the clinic, coming out to get adjusted, and seeing the way that their life works. So we can maybe do a little, if people are interested, we'll do. We could see if they would be willing to do that. As far as the e-telehealth consults, this is another thing. In America, it's really known as e-telemedicine, and this is something that I feel really strongly about, that words have meaning. And so we are marketing them as e-telehealth consults because they're all about your health. They're not about medicine, because that's not what we are subscribing to personally in my office. And then the last thing we wanted to go over with you guys is group online classes from home. These are classes that you could teach. You could do something as easy as, your dinner with the doc or your wellness orientation workshop, your health class from home. Or what you can do is pick a condition specific. What we do is we do a prenatal and a postpartum class. They are 4 90-minute sessions, and we teach them in a group setting over Zoom. We would normally teach them in my office, and we have just shifted that online, and we've done 25% off. So they're $149. They get 4 90-minute classes. We do a birth education class for prenatal, and then we do a prenatal fitness and movement class, and then we do a postpartum breath and flow movement class. Some people also do a postpartum workout class. It's not something that I personally teach, but it's definitely something that you could do. So if you are somebody who has that knowledge and that confidence in teaching that, if you don't, BirthFit is our resource. I don't want to share too much that is their proprietary information, but those are the classes that we teach, is the BirthFit Breath and Flow, BirthFit Prenatal series. And so that's really given us the opportunity. You could very easily create your own prenatal or postpartum movement class based on what you've learned from my seminars at Lions. And you could do movement classes for other sports specific, and you could have them be a nominal fee. You could donate that money back if you didn't want to. But if you're somebody who owns your own practice, and you're like me, where not only are you not making money, but you still have an overhead to pay, having the online classes from home can be a great way to pad that. Okay, cool. Beautiful. Stop sharing. Awesome. Do you guys have any questions on that? That's what I wanted to go over with. And then I wanted to leave some time for questions, because I know that there's a lot of things that we could do. When it comes to mommy specific, a lot of people have questions on how would I cover that? What are the legalities of this? Is there anything I should or shouldn't do? Movements to teach, movements to avoid. Some big things that I think we went over. It might have been in my first seminar, but it could have been in the last one, is that big things to avoid postpartum and prenatal: crunches, sit-ups, GHD sit-ups if they have access to a gym, bicycle crunches, anything that is isolating a flexion and extension movement. This includes getting up out of bed with a breastfeeding baby, laying back with a baby. These are some really easy tips that you can give them that will help make sure that they know that you're the expert, the go-to mommy practor in your town. More specific of what we do in our online classes. Do you do this on a seminar at all? It's not really a seminar. We do it as it's just a 4-week class. So we set a specific date and time, usually Wednesdays over lunch from like 1 to 2:30 or 11 to 12:30. And that's what we do for our seminar. And we make sure that they can have access to a computer, a yoga mat, and then if they were our patients, we give them a Coregeous ball. If they're local, I've been just shipping them a Coregeous ball. That's why I referenced BirthFit. No, I do not teach the seminar. BirthFit is the seminar that we teach, and I do not want to steal their thunder. I want to give credit where credit is due. My breakdown comes from BirthFit. I have tweaked it a very small bit, but I was BirthFit Regional Director of the Year a couple years ago. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart, is the BirthFit movement. So if you're interested, I can post the link later. The BirthFit postpartum series and the BirthFit prenatal series are what we teach. So there is a seminar for it. It's just not one that I personally teach. Perfect. Hope that answers that. Issue with diagnosing on E-Telehealth without having tested the patient in person. To my knowledge, because of the COVID-19 situation, they have expanded the reach of E-Telehealth for sure in America. I don't get the emails from the regulatory agencies that you guys get because I'm not yet licensed in the UK, which is something I plan on changing this year. But that's not something that I think we are being held to. It is something that's why I said, please contact your regulatory agency and your malpractice insurance to make sure that's something you can do. We also have a little bit more flexibility here in America with cash practice, I think. But from what I've heard, you guys can kind of charge whatever you want. So Connor, Mike, do you have any feedback on? If you do, please feel free to unmute yourself and chime in if you know better than I do. about any issues without having tested the patient in person.
Yeah, I was just saying, we can, again, our goal is not to diagnose, our goal is to advise with the telehealth stuff. So we can give advice on exercise, we can give advice on heat and ice, those types of things, which people may not be aware of what to do whenever they have a flare-up of back or neck pain. And all of that's covered, as far as I'm aware, from our insurance point of view.
Excellent. Thank you, Connor. Woo. Okay. Any other questions? Cool. Yay. Good. Okay, cool. So I wanted to leave some time for question and answers since we don't have a ton of Q&A. You're welcome. What I thought we could do, I figured we'd have about 20 minutes. We actually have 28 minutes. So we can review some of the functional progressions, if you guys would like that, of what I teach. I think that that would be a good review, and that would also be a great chance for anybody that maybe that had a conflict last year and didn't make it to Lions to learn that. So I'm wearing my yoga pants. I am in black, which should show up easily on my tan carpet. I'm going to move you guys down near the floor. Ooh, we have somebody that's done over 20 teleconsultations, all advice, people very happy, many people booking as new patients. Yay, that's exciting. Cool, beautiful, I love it. Okay, so we're going to move you guys. Where's the best place to move you to? All right, welcome to my living room, everyone. Have tea and morning movement. So, should be able to see me move. Okay. So, I'm going to cut off my own face because it's the least important part of this. You may see a very large black dog walk through the screen because that is Charlie. He is our mascot. He's the best dog ever. He's behind the computer, wondering why we are up at this time and moving. So, functional progression 1 is a modification on a dead bug. So, the big thing about functional progression 1 is that when we are on our back, it's basically like quadruped, but you're on your back, arms and legs are up, and I call them a ballerina dead bug because we want our knees to be a little bit wider than our hips and pelvis, and our arms are going to be out. Great. So this is what we're moving through, just so you guys understand, this is based on developmental neuromuscular stabilization. This is out of the Prague School. It's nothing that I invented. So we're going to be looking at pretty much that 3 to 6 months of progression right now through functional progression 1 to functional progression 2. So we're going to be on our back, knees are bent at a 90-90 or triple flexion position, knees are a little bit wider than pelvis, and then we're going to bring arms up as well. We have all these videos on my YouTube channel, which I'm also happy to post later since the light in here is unfortunately 100% mood lighting and my black outfit matches with my black dog. So we're going to get back out of this. This is functional progression 1. When we look at this, it is going to be opposite arm and opposite leg moving away from each other while the other set stays perfectly still. This is all about breathing and making sure that you are stabilizing your core and your pelvic floor properly, which when we think about diaphragmatic breathing, your diaphragm is that beautiful dome-shaped muscle underneath your rib cage. And when we breathe in, it should actually lower and flatten. So our diaphragm serves 3 purposes. One is it's actually a sphincter. As long as you don't have a sliding hiatal hernia, it's doing that job. Second is that it is a primary muscle of respiration, but oftentimes we don't use it for that, and our clients don't use it for that either. And third, you actually should have this as a postural stabilizer. So if somebody went to punch you in the stomach, that is activation of your diaphragm. So when we breathe, we should be breathing diaphragmatically. If you place your hands around your waist and you take a deep breath in, you should truly feel 360 degrees of expansion. You should feel just as much into your fingers as you do into your thumbs when you breathe in, breathing nice and low. And if you have a mom, especially a postpartum mom, not as much later in the first pregnancy, usually even a second or third pregnancy. If you have her place your hand on her perineum or above her pubic symphysis, you should be able to feel expansion down there as well, because we should have lowering, and our core is like a canister. So when our diaphragm lowers and expands, it creates more intra-abdominal pressure, and our pelvic floor needs to be able to meet that resistance. When it cannot, that's when we jump rope and sneeze and cough and have threshold disorders where we pee our pants. So that is how we get peasing, which people will pay a lot of money to have help correcting. So when we breathe in, we have expansion, front, side, and back 360 degrees and down into our pelvic floor. But we need to have both concentric and eccentric activation of our pelvic floor. And that's what we're working on training in. This is something that's really important for patients. If you're guiding them without being able to give them a tactile cue, helping to make sure that they understand breathing as much into your fingers as into your thumbs when you put your hands around your waist is a huge E-Telehealth consult cue that you want to make sure that they're getting. The other thing they could do is if they have a yoga strap or a resistance band or a belt or a piece of fabric at home, they could tie that around their waist, take 4 little washcloths and roll them up and put one under the front, one under the other front, and then one under the back on each side, and use that as their tactile cues. So with that tied on, we tell them breathe into the washcloths. And they could feasibly wear that around for 15, 20, 30 minutes and unload the dishwasher or do some laundry and have a tactile cue that they wear around their home, especially if there's somebody who maybe has pain when they get wash out of, the washing machine or something like that, when they bend over to get clean dishes or load the dishwasher. These are things that are activities of daily living that will improve their quality of life until they can get in and get adjusted, and make sense to train the breath in through movement, because it should be dynamic stabilization. It's not just, can you breathe when you're on your back on the floor thinking about it? Because when there's a toddler running around, they have to pick up a baby and do the wash at the same time. They still have to be thinking about it then. Does that make sense? Can I just explain how I run this for clients? Do you demonstrate the exercises, watch the clients perform, or defer to BirthFit for them to follow their courses? I teach them myself because I was a BirthFit regional director and I'm a BirthFit leader. So I demonstrate first, like I'm doing with you guys, and then I do about a 1 to 3 minute explanation, and then I have them get on the floor and we do them together, and then I watch them do them. This is something that does take a keen eye because I've been privileged to teach these in person for a couple years. But even the demonstration, doing them together, even if you don't do them 100% perfect, even if you don't feel like, maybe I don't teach them as well as somebody that's been teaching them for 2 years, I promise you having them do this instead of bicycle crunches with their HIIT class is going to help them so much more until they can get back into your office than just being like, well, I'm not 100% confident. Your patients need you, your clients need you now, and they'll be so grateful for what you share with them. Abdominal cavity and pelvic floor thing again. Yes, absolutely. So your diaphragm, beautiful dome-shaped muscle, connects to your ribs, and actually you have a connection into your spine. So when you look at a true, proper, deep belly or diaphragmatic breath, that diaphragm should be a primary muscle of respiration. So when we breathe in, if we think about proper rib cage movement, our rib cage is kind of lowering and expanding. Our diaphragm is the activation that's causing that, because muscles, if we think about the way muscles activate, something has to be pulling that. So it's this cool dome, and then when it contracts, it lowers and flattens, and that squishes your abdominal cavity. So since your abdominal cavity is a closed system, pushing down creates more pressure outward, but if those muscles are activated, it creates intra-abdominal pressure. And so your pelvic floor needs to meet that, and your 360 degrees of core and abdominal muscles need to meet that. So it's kind of like your own little corset that works. So if we don't have proper activation of the pelvic floor muscles and we sneeze or cough, which is a quick diaphragmatic activation, that intra-abdominal pressure is too much, and that's just a threshold disorder. So they sneeze and pee, or cough and pee, or do double unders if they're CrossFitters and pee their pants. They go to do a heavy lift where they need more intra-abdominal pressure for spinal stabilization. And I don't know if any of you guys do CrossFit or like Olympic lifting. I've seen many people go, hey, just back up, I'm going to pee because I'm going for a PR. That doesn't have to come with the territory. I've never seen a man do that. Has anybody ever seen a man say, hey, I'm going to pee my pants a little bit. Go ahead and back up a little bit. No, something that's a uniquely female problem. And women deserve to lift heavy and feel strong and not have to say, hey, back up, I'm going to pee my pants. Even if they've gotten to the point where they have a good crew and a great set of people in their gym that don't mind, on some level, it's dysfunctional, if not embarrassing. Does that make sense? Is that a helpful explanation? Where would you introduce these exercises and progressions? In our office, we introduce them on somewhere between visit 3 and visit 9, depending on how far the woman is into her pregnancy or postpartum. So we make sure the patient is ready for it, but it's very early on in their care plan. We do care plans or packages in our office based on what I see on a postural analysis or x-rays or movement analysis. So patients get these pretty quick because this is their part of the homework, and we let them know that your care in our office is a 50-50 process. So we will do our work in here, getting your spine corrected, getting you adjusted, getting your nervous system turned on, and then you'll have some homework to do at home in order to do their half of this, because we like to bring the idea of education, empowerment, and responsibility through the care and our culture everywhere, not only in our seminars, but also for our clients' care. I'm not sure how a British lady would announce the peeing of one's pants at the gym. Yes. Yeah. It's actually something that British clients too, like, they really don't want to talk about. So this is really great because it's something that's hidden. So in America, there's this weird culture where apparently it's okay because it just comes with the territory. For you guys, it's keeping people from doing what they want. Like, here, people just do shit anyway. They're like, fine, just back up. I put a pad on. I'm going to pee my pants. In where most of you are practicing, this is a person who's like, man, I wish I could get back in the gym, but I know if I work out, I'm going to pee my pants. So now I'm not going to work out. I'm going to be less healthy. I'm not going to be strong for my kids. I'm not going to feel sexy for my husband. They're not living their best life. So if you start thinking about what this leads to, it's way more than just I pee my pants a little bit when I try to run with the stroller. And sometimes it's not I pee my pants a little bit. Sometimes it's I literally completely pee my pants. So I think they do. Once one does, they all do. There you go. They all do. Okay, cool. So I'm going to see if we can, I'm going to tilt this down, and I'm actually, you guys are going to get a great shot. I'm going to turn around so you don't get a great shot of my butt. So that you can see, can you see that my knees are wider than my hips? And then my arms are out. My opposite arm and opposite leg move away from each other and back to neutral, away from each other and back to neutral. From the side, opposite arm and opposite leg. The other set does not move at all. It is perfectly still. 3 common mistakes we see here. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me since I'm laying on the floor? Perfect. 3 common mistakes we see is everything moves. This is super common. People are like, it's like pat your head and rub your tummy and they just can't do it. That's okay. If somebody can't isolate, they need this so much. They have to be able to do this. Their cross-kinetic chain and their oblique sling should be able to uniquely isolate. And if they can't, no wonder why they're in your office with back pain. So we need to see one set at a time moving. The other thing we often see is, if you can tell from there, this is very much a hip hinge. My knee isn't really changing what it's doing. So we very often see people just stick their leg out straight instead of actually being able to activate their core for a hip movement. And then the third thing we see is that their low back comes off the ground and they do what we call breaking neutral. So if you can see here, my low back is stabilized through that breath. If they can't do any of this, you can literally have them just start with breathing here without slowly letting their low back come off the ground. Can you guys see like how much my back is off the ground there? So when we have that, this might be where they need to start. Another possible modification is to use an ottoman or a couch like I have here and just do arms. So arms only can be a wonderful option. Their legs are still in a 90-90 position here, but they're supported. And then arms are here. One arm moves at a time, syncing with breath. Does that make sense? So those are some options. If somebody is struggling at home, find it unbelievable that casual incontinence is considered acceptable. Yes, right? But if you peed your pants and you had kids and you really wanted children and you didn't know what to do about it, and I'll be honest, MDs don't know what to do about it. A lot of physios, unless they're a women's health physio, they don't know what to do about it. DOs don't know what to do about it. So it starts to become this thing where they're like, I guess you just deal with it. It's kind of like, type 2 diabetics. A lot of them are not actually counseled. My dad is a type 2 diabetic. My dad's endocrinologist told me, eat more sugar, you take more insulin. At no point was there like here's a good nutritional plan for you since you're a type 2 diabetic that would help you heal. It's not their area of expertise. And so we are very uniquely qualified to help this population. What does keeping the legs bent and hips wide do engaging different muscles? It also, yes, it does. It makes sure that your transverse abdominis, your pelvic floor, and all your core muscles are working together to stabilize. And it also helps keep our pelvis in more of a neutral position than keeping your legs perfectly straight. That's a wonderful question. A traditional dead bug that a lot of physios or even like traditional chiropractors give are parallel arms and legs, just one. However, we find that in the female pelvis and especially in the postpartum pelvis, having a bit of external rotation through that lower limb allows us to keep our pelvis more in neutral so that the low back doesn't come off the ground and we can actually engage more evenly. Do you breathe in or out while doing the movement? Technically, according to Pavel Kolaj and what I have learned through all of my movement education, you definitely do breathe, but we shouldn't necessarily cue breathing. It should be natural breath. However, what I typically tell people when they ask, if a patient asks, is I breathe in when my arms and legs move away from each other, activating a bit more stabilization. I breathe out when they return to normal. So breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. The other big thing is that we want to make sure that they are slow. We always say don't athlete this. It is not reps for time. We want to breathe and move synced to our breath in a functional, slow, deliberate manner. That will actually be harder for them and they'll have much better form. Yay. Best time to start these exercises pre, per, during, or post. It depends on where they're at. If they have a diastasis, this is a good chance to go over this again. Does everybody know what a diastasis rectus abdominis or DRA is? Most people do if they've come to one of my things. A Scotsman would admit to peeing his kilt. There you go. Apologies. Is it safe all stages of pregnancy, postpartum after 6-week check? So what we always want to make sure is that we're never doing anything to increase the activation of a DRA or a diastasis rectus abdominis. Your linea alba, that beautiful midline piece of connective tissue, begins to widen during pregnancy. There's a study that came out that shows 100% of pregnant women will have some amount of a diastasis rectus abdominis or a dysfunctional widening of the linea alba during their 3rd trimester. It is making more room for baby. Your body is amazing and beautiful. What we don't want to see is, especially when people go to sit up out of bed or sit up off your chiropractic table, they get tenting or coning in here. So when we have tenting and coning, we wouldn't want to do anything that exacerbates that because it's training it dysfunctionally. Functional Progression 2, which is also on our website, and I can put together a little follow-up email since you guys are asking for these. That way you can see them recorded in full light in our, you can actually see the sun starting to come up outside now, so we're getting a little more light in here. But they're much better quality videos because they were taken with like stage lighting with another doctor. So we can send those out. If they don't have pain with this, if they can do the breathing and they don't have a diastasis with this, we do that. There are certain people who really ardently believe you should not lay on your back as a pregnant woman. And then there are some studies now showing that potentially 30 to 50%, we're not 100% sure, more blood flow goes to the fetus when you're on your back, when you're pregnant. So there's just a lot that we're still learning about the human body and pregnancy. So if patients don't have pain, discomfort, or not having anxiety and their OB or their midwife doesn't have a reason why they shouldn't be on their back, I still look at teaching this even in their pregnancy. If they're uncomfortable on their back for any reason, they have symptoms where they, numbness, tingling, something where they don't want to be, or they're just emotionally like, hey, I've always been told don't be on your back. I don't want to kill my baby. Great. don't make them do this then. There are a lot of other movements we can do with them, and then we revisit this in the postpartum period. One thing that we like to show is that 0 to 6 weeks postpartum is what we call just co-regulation, lots of naked family time, lots of baby and mommy and daddy time. We don't encourage any movement. So functional progression 1, a lot of people won't do that though. If you've got somebody who like their ethos is getting in the gym or movement, or that's really how they feel like themselves, a lot of people start back to working out before 6 weeks postpartum. I don't fight with people like this. I educate them on why we go slow. In BirthFit, we have a mantra, slow is fast. If you can slow down and do these things deliberately, you will heal much faster in the long term. Not everybody lives by that, and we have to meet our mommies where they're at, because at the end of the day, my practice is called Navigate Wellness, and that's what this is about, education, empowerment for them to navigate their own wellness decisions. We give them the best information. Doing this before 6 weeks postpartum is not necessarily going to be their best bet, but they can. And then if it's 6 weeks postpartum, they can do this without tenting or coning. That's for sure when we would start looking at adding some movements in that are functional, not weighted, and helpful to them. But in that 0 to 6 weeks, if they need something to do, they can start focusing on that breathing in different positions. How do you feel on your back? How do you feel in a quadruped on hands and knees? How do you feel when you're bending over? They can put on a Core 360 belt. That's what that where I told you they can put on a belt with the rolled up towels underneath. That comes from a Core 360 belt. I think they're like $60 to $90. They're a great investment for your practice. But if right now we're doing E-Telehealth consults, you're not shipping a $90 belt to every one of your patients to try it out. So videos. Cool. I will send out an email with videos. How do you feel about advice to consistently strengthen the pelvic floor through pregnancy? Some women's pelvic floor are definitely too tight. Yep. If you talk to a pelvic health physio or a women's health physio, strengthening the pelvic floor is not a bad plan. Strengthening a hypertonic pelvic floor or encouraging a woman to strengthen by constantly activating their pelvic floor is a very dysfunctional plan that I think we will luckily see going by the wayside. And we've already started to see it in good pelvic health PTs here, physios here, is that when we don't want a hypertonic pelvic floor. It yes, absolutely can cause issues in birth. It can cause painful intercourse. It can cause more issues with incontinence because it's dysfunctional. No one would walk around all the time just like flexing their bicep. Like, I'm just going to carry a heavy bag all the time. That's going to be healthy. Of course not. You need an active range of motion. You need eccentric and concentric activation of that muscle, as well as the ability to relax. Some of our moms postpartum, their only homework for weeks and weeks or months is to find moments throughout their day to relax their pelvic floor and connect to their breath. So, which is a lot of times harder for them than strengthening it. Great. Linea alba stretch. It's a widening of the linea alba, diastasis rectus, based on relaxin and then later prolactin in your body. It's a totally natural variant in pregnancy. Should everyone have arms and legs bent slightly, or just pre and postnatal moms? We have everybody do it. It's the 90-90 or triple flexion position. Some people have a little bit less than 90-degree bend at their knees. That's why it is really nice to watch them do it in a couple different positions. And after a little while of teaching this, you start to get a feel on what makes the most sense for their body, because some people have, like, I do a true, like a 90-90 where it's really bent at 90, and some people have it a little more open. The big thing is for those moms, we just want to make sure that they have that external rotation, because that will allow them to stay more neutral in their spine and their low back. Videos. Yay, cool. All right, we have 4 minutes. Any other questions before we sign off? 12 years postpartum, lady whose mom is 68 and doesn't want to do exercises. Why does she not want to do exercises?
Claire Sweeney, that was your question.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. Yeah, if there's any other questions. I would personally try to connect with her. Torn pelvic floor muscles. Does it deal with torn pelvic floor muscles? I would want to know when the pelvic floor was torn. Was it like a grade 2 tear, grade 3 tear, grade 4 tear, like a delivery tear with like labor and delivery? Or is this some other sort of weird fell on a fence post, like different injury? Torn pelvic floor muscles, delivery tear. Okay. That's something that we would want to manage well with their midwife and their OB to make sure that they're cleared. Collagen, bone broth, huge important things to make sure they're getting the nutrients postpartum for that to heal naturally. Healing's obviously we all know an inside out job, but this would help with that. Once they're able to connect to their breath and do this pain-free, that would definitely be a co-management with a women's health or pelvic health physio for sure to make sure that they're doing that. I don't do internal work at all in my office. That, in my opinion, would be something where you definitely want to be co-managing with somebody who has and does internal work, as long as the woman is comfortable with that. Preggy moms will weather to limit activity and how so as they progress. Coning in third trimester, what advice would you give with exercises? There's a lot of coning. A lot of times we'll take functional progression completely out in third trimester. The other thing you can do is if second or third trimester they have coning, but it's not terrible, you can add a big yoga ball in between their legs so that they're actually squishing the yoga ball together between the arm and leg that aren't moving. And then the one that isn't squishing, it moves, and then you switch, so now they're squishing here. It activates a little bit better into that transverse abdominis, and it oftentimes will help show that coning will actually subside. Functional progression 2 is great for diastasis rectus healing in the postpartum. We went over that last fall at Lions, and it'll be in the videos that we send since we're going to be out of time to go over that one, but that would be a wonderful thing. And I know that they're 1, 2, 3, 4, it makes sense, but they don't have to always do them 1 leads to 2, leads to 3, leads to 4. That is the way that it goes in developmental kinesiology. That's the way your baby develops. So your baby really, a normally developing baby is their best model. But you could try a functional progression 2 and see if that helps first, and then go back to functional progression 1. Limiting activity depends so much uniquely on the mother in question. Are they healthy? Did they have a high amount of activity and fitness before? Is it causing pain, discomfort, dysfunction? Do they move goofy? Are they having tenting and coning? Are they peeing their pants? Lauren, if you have any specific questions, you can just Facebook message me and we can chat more about a specific patient if you have, but that is sometimes we limit activity, but otherwise movement is life. I try my best not to limit people as long as it's functional movement and healthy for them. Best place to read up on pelvic floor exercises. DNS for Women's Health is great, or connecting with a local pelvic floor physio. We have a wonderful one here that she was redoing her website to put some more information out to the public. It's called Your Strength Within, and it's linked from our website, and I will touch base with Ashley and see if she has some more things so that you could understand that. It is something that really should be co-managed if there's a lot of tearing. Want to know more of what you teach? 12 years. Advice for second pregnancy, less than 1 year postpartum from first baby, significant diastasis, unplanned. First baby, 12 pounds, 3 ounces. Excellent. If that was your baby, congratulations. Great job, mama. We see this a lot. Having that yoga ball in there might be great, or functional progression 2. We can chat a little bit. If it's one of your clients, I can help you counsel them, or they can book a consult with me if they're willing to pay. We could go over that specifically. I do a lot of E-Telehealth consults, or we can definitely chat. I would like to see how many finger widths is that diastasis. That's how diastasis are measured, is finger widths. Very exciting. And then the depth and the tension is really important. If it's you, we can check you over E-Telehealth, like Zoom. You can teach them how to check themselves and see it on there. It's pretty easy. More for very active and otherwise healthy. Heart rate monitoring, no big deal. NB? Is NB no big deal?
NB is important.
What is NB?
Important.
Important. Oh, important. Nice. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Heart rate monitoring could be, if they have something like Heart Math Institute or something that they heart rate variability where they can monitor that. I think that is one good factor. It's not the only factor, but yes, I would keep an eye on it. The other thing is, can she keep up a conversation? If she feels like she's going to vomit or really be just wrecked after this, that's not a good way to go. So really keeping an eye on how mom feels. If she feels tired but energized, that's still a good level of exhaust or output. If she feels exhausted or sick, even if heart rate looks okay, you know your body best. Mommy knows her body best. she's really active and healthy, I would say, yeah. I mean, we have people that do CrossFit until they just about give labor in the box, and they're birthing athletes. Like, E-moms are great for a late trimester mom. Every minute on the minute, if you don't know what an E-mom stands for. What else sounds like every minute on the minute, do something hard? Oh, a contraction. So we always say we don't modify for pregnancy, we train for birth. So I definitely strongly believe in staying active through your pregnancy, but just monitoring how mom's feeling. How is her recovery? Does she feel trashed? That's probably too much. Does she feel energized but tired? Great. That's how we all want to feel after a workout too. So cool. Well, we have gone 2 minutes over. If you have any other questions, I am also stuck at home and I'm happy to answer questions. You can Facebook message me, or we can set up consults. I always do a complimentary 15-minute consult for anybody that wants to chat, so we can hop on Zoom if you want to chat about something. After that, I have people booked, so it's the same thing. If you guys want to hire me, you can, but you don't have to. We can chat. Send me a message. Yay! Great to see all you guys. You're the best. So fun. I love all of you. So much love to Connor and Mike. Thank you so much for putting this on.